Hey there. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my multi-sample and sampling settings on the black box specifically. I feel like I've found kind of a nice sweet spot, and I just wanted to share that real quick in case you are in a similar position as myself and are wanting to create a bunch of multi-samples or, just kind of do sampling in general with the black box. So let's get powered up here. Let's first talk about, what is the black box? It's a sampling little groove box kind of machine. It's super fun. I've been extremely happy with it, and for many different reasons. One specific one is the multi-sampling capabilities of it, and the sampling capabilities in general. It's really flexible, really easy to use, and I feel like I've been able to get the most out of it in a very short amount of time. So I've been very happy with that. Specifically with multi-sampling, what that has allowed me to do is sample a lot of my patches that I've made on various synths or keyboards, or even ones I haven't made that I just really like, into this to reuse for either creating music inside of the black box or as a part of a performance or set. So in this case, let's start by talking about multi-samples. Right here I have one of an electric piano coming from the Nord Stage 3 that I have. It is this EP9 Stockholm electric piano. Sounds super great. I have two versions here that I want to talk about. In this first version, what I did is I had the black box sample that electric piano. The way you do that is you hit info on an empty pad, you go multi, it's going to now create a new multi-sample. You can give it a name, but it'll default to whatever the patch is called. So usually, or the preset, so usually you just make a new preset, name it what you want that multi-sample to be. It'll follow that same exact name. Record monitoring, you can decide if you want to do that or not. Here's the important stuff. Starting note, ending note, it's going to send MIDI out to whatever channel you tell it in a little bit. And it's going to go from C1 in this case all the way up to C6. We have it currently set to sample every 2 with 1 velocity layer. You tell it what velocity to send, how long to hold that note, how long to wait after you've released the note, and then what MIDI channel it's on. In this case, for this first one, what I did is I said, let's not worry about velocity. Let's just worry about getting the most notes possible. Each pad can hold, I believe it's 64 individual samples. So I said, let's try and get close to that 64 while also getting as much of the range of the keyboard as possible. So I did end up using this current setup of sample every 2 notes. So it skips, goes like, C, skips C sharp, goes to D. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it ends up catching, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and then it repeats. And then, let me go back to multi, there we go. And then I said only take 1 velocity layer, so we're only doing 1 recording per note. And I messed around with the max velocity, and you probably will too, depending on what you're sampling. For some of my synth patches, there is no velocity built into the sound that I made or someone else designed. So in some cases, the max velocity doesn't matter. With the electric piano, it does. So I tried to find something that was kind of in the middle. I probably did like 70 or 80, somewhere around there. And then the note length is just up to you. For the electric piano, I just hit that note, listened, counted out, how many seconds roughly it was. I think it was about 15, maybe 13 seconds. And then same with the release length. When you let go, just listen, Use your meters up here as well to say, do I see that that sound is fully stopped? And then MIDI channel is up to, whatever device you're using. And then what you do, you hit, record play, it sends all the MIDI notes, records everything. It's so easy. It's very nice. We love that. That's a big reason that I love the black box. Then it, creates all these individual samples. It assigns them to the keys with the right name and everything. Wonderful. You can fine tune all the settings. For instance, I dialed in velocity, 27% seems about good for me. I removed the MIDI volume, or MIDI volume that was on here originally, etc. dial this into your liking, however you want. Come over to configure, switch it to a gate. I prefer that over a trigger because that way when I let go of that note, it stops. Configure your output, your poly mode, because we have mono, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then X just uses as many as it can. Editor Kevin here, and I just noticed that 90% of my viewers are not subscribed to this channel. So if you're watching this video and you find it helpful, please subscribe, because it's super helpful to me and letting YouTube know that these videos are helpful and that you're enjoying them. And it's also free. Back to the video. The interpolation, you can leave it as normal. You can also set it to high Q, high quality. I think for this situation, it's fine to be normal because we have so many notes. It's not having, the black box isn't having to do much computing to say, oh, we missed that C sharp, but I have a C and I have a D. So which one do I choose to speed up or slow down? Well, it can figure that out, and it doesn't sound digital. There's no aliasing happening because you got those notes so close together. I found that to be relatively true across the whole keyboard. Now the V2, we took a different approach. Something like an electric piano has a very different sound when you hit it super soft. It's very gentle and soft. You can kind of get in that mid-range, it gets a little more belly. When you hit it really hard, it's just bam, it starts to get gritty. It has a totally different sound. So I said, let's try and capture that, all right? I came in instead, and I said, I still want to get this huge range of the keyboard. I want to get as many notes as possible, but I want to do 5 layers of velocity. So I can catch a super soft, a kind of medium soft, a middle to loud, and then a loud. And I feel like that would be good. I think I maxed this out. I believe I set it to 127. But that's up to you. Dial it in, try a couple times, see what you like. But instead of doing every 2, obviously this is 5 files per individual note. So we'd have to multiply that 44 by 5 if we really wanted to do that full range. So what I figured out is if you change it to every 7 semitones, every perfect fifth, so C to G, G to D, D to A to E, E to B, etc., you're getting less notes recorded, but you're getting all that velocity back. So all you have to do is come in here and change it to high Q, high quality interpolation, and it removes any aliasing, any digital kind of crunchiness if you don't want that. But it sounds incredible. And you get all this velocity and all this depth into your sounds. Let's do a little demo, okay? And disclaimer here, okay? The sounds, specifically these piano sounds on the Nord, are just sublime. They are very detailed, and they most likely have a sample per individual velocity and note. It's nuts what they do, okay? We're not gonna get to that same level. But if we can get close with this small of a form factor, then to me that's a win. We're gonna load back up the non-velocity multisample and give you a taste of that. Then I will switch over to the one with velocity in and give you a taste of what that sounds like. And you can just tell me what you think of it and tell me in the comments which one you thought sounded a little bit better. Got the key step here. We're going to use this. I will give a warning, okay? Do not attempt what I am doing. Technically, the black box does not supply enough power through the device port to power up the KeyStep Pro. It is seemingly working, and it hopefully will work fine for this video, but I would not count on it for a live playing situation. If you have a smaller setup, like just a regular KeyStep, not the Pro, that should be fine from what I've read online, but the Pro specifically wants a lot of power. This should be powered separately, but since it's just a quick little demo, I'm going to, fingers crossed, hope that we don't have any issues. So this one is no velocity currently. So no velocity recorded, I should say. There's still velocity here. However, it's only volume of that individual sample that was captured. So there is velocity, it's just of one sample. Now let's switch over to the V2. You might need to turn it up, put on headphones, okay? Just a warning. Notice the difference here, all right? I'm gonna play really soft and then really loud. It's a lot more dynamic. It's a lot more expressive. When you get softer, it's not just volume, it is the tone as well, which is what's great about the Nord. But now you got it in this super portable, really nice setup that you can just throw in your backpack basically. Let's do another quick example. This is of a piano, a felt piano. This is with no velocity in terms of recording, so just one recording per note, skipping every other note. Again, we have velocity, but it's just playing that one sample back, either softer or louder. Sounds great, right? Let's go with the velocity recorded in. Soft, loud. So yeah, hopefully you heard a little bit of how that sounds and noticed, you know, the difference between having that velocity recorded into those multi-samples versus not. Before we go, let's talk about regular samples, all right? This is not a multi-sample. I just took a regular sample of the sawtooth waveform on my matriarch, okay? So I set this up because I wanted the loop points to be in there. I haven't figured out how to get the loop points to work with multi-samples yet because that's supposedly available, and I haven't had much luck with it, so still trying to figure that out. But if I do a regular sample, not a multi-sample, then it'll record just one note, and I can set a loop point. I believe I set... Oh, I didn't put the root note in there. I should have. And some other ones I did make sure to put the root note in, and this one I obviously did not. Now you can hear there, even, at least I could, the differences in velocity when I was kind of inconsistently hitting it, and you know, it probably would be smoother on something not like the key step here. So you might have heard the velocity inconsistencies. That's just me playing, and because of the way I have it set up here, being at 40%, it's got a wider range. That's why I kind of liked to bring the amount down, but it's a tangent. In here, I'm using the built-in filter to bring down the sound. So kind of creating my patch sound within the black box because I just created a raw sawtooth. But because of having a loop point, there we go. I can set up looping here and then I can just be able to hold this as long as I need to, which works well for pads and those sort of sounds. Of course, I think I need to switch this. Let's just say 6. So now I can just hold that as long as I want to. And that's really helpful for this type of setup. And of course, you know, I went ahead and did a couple others. Let's load up the triangle. So yeah, sounds nice. I even just have this on normal. So you can hear a little bit of that digital aliasing, but in this case, it's a triangle, so it kind of has that sound anyways. Kind of a bad example, but okay, so to kind of close things out, what are some of the pros and cons of how you do this, all right? So if you do a regular individual sample like this, then you get the benefits of loop points that you can adjust right away from within the black box. Additionally, regular sampling like this can be really great if you have a lo-fi sound. It's very fast and immediate, and it just creates a great little, you know, kind of easily mangable, something that's really easy to just like manipulate and change around. And sometimes you want to, like, the pitch shifting that it will do, where it shortens the actual sample to get it higher, or stretches it out when you lower it. Sometimes you want that behavior, so you know that might be why you would use a individual sample. Why would you use a multi-sample? Well, I think you would use this for trying to recreate an exact patch or sound from an existing synth or keyboard that you want to be able to put into the black box and take to be much more mobile and ready for, you know, maybe a gig or just a jam or something where you don't really want to bring a whole system with you. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching this far. I know this was kind of a deep dive on multi-samples, but I appreciate you watching to the end if you made it this far. And if you have any questions or want any more sound demos, just let me know, and I would be more than happy to make some more videos on that. All right, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next video.